7th studio album, B7, is out. After an 8-year hiatus, you are back.
From travel to crypto, the crypto space is also top of mind for investors this afternoon after the SEC threatened to sue Coinbase. We've been telling you about this on this network. My next question I want to preface with no demographic is monolithic. I say this all the time, but what does declining support among black voters mean for Democrats as we go into the midterm elections right around the corner?
Help is on the way.
To discuss, let's bring in Tom Price, former Secretary of Health and Human Services and former Georgia Congressman. Congressman, thank you. Welcome to the show. We always appreciate your time. Mr. Biden jump-starting a national strategy to increase vaccines testing and, of course, increase mask use, including a requirement that Americans wear a mask to simply travel. So what are some of the strengths and weaknesses of the plan our president has laid out? That actually leads me to my next question. What is the responsibility of local officials in quelling this violence that we are seeing towards the AAPI community?
What components of that deadline are you most closely following?
Yeah, let's talk about that date more, JD, March 14th. It's when 19 million Americans will lose $300 per week of unemployment benefits. And as we all know, for so many families struggling, this is a huge amount of money to feed their families or simply pay the rent. We have a lot to get to. Here is what we know. The mayor of Washington, D.C. has issued a curfew for 6 p.m. as supporters of President Trump flood the nation's capital. President-elect Joe Biden also demanding an end to this siege. Now, even after the chaos that ensued, there he is, Barnett told media outlets when he made it back outside, "I'm not afraid to go down with someone else's blood." And as far as sitting at the House Speaker's desk, he said, quote, "Sat down here in my desk. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a patriot. That ain't her desk. We loaned her that desk."
Your state, the state I live in and lived in for many years, has dealt with the aftermath of a school shooting at Sandy Hook in 2012. I covered it. You were the congressman. You recently spoke on the Senate floor about the Oxford High School shooting in Michigan. Your remarks have gone viral. They've been viewed more than 1 million times. Clearly, your remarks resonate with people. Sir, what will it take to move the needle here, to see any movement on school shooting reform from Congress? Governor, you have vowed to act swiftly on this. When will New Jersey be ready to pass a law? The reason I'm asking is because many states have tried and are now getting sued. A reminder of the top stories we're following this hour. Unfortunately, stocks are falling into the red this afternoon in another volatile session to close out the week.
Great to see you, JD. Hi, everyone. I'm Hena Doba. We're coming to you from Washington and New York. Thanks so much for joining us on this Thursday. We're going to start with our top story, a big win for hundreds of millions of young immigrants in the United States. Markets reacted positively to Powell's renomination, as many expect he will maintain hawkish monetary policy. Joining us now, Greg Robb, senior reporter at Market Watch. Greg, always a pleasure to talk to you. Welcome back. So why did President Biden renominate Powell? Do you remember how weird that was, though? Because no one knew where he was. Some people thought, something terrible happened to him. And no, he was just hiding out, God knows where, maybe on a private island somewhere, just hiding out, waiting for it to die down.
Wow, and that is one way to live. So
that's one way to live.
Let's move on.
I'm watching Succession now, and that just reminds me of that world.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. You have so many fans here at Cheddar, Greg. Thank you so much for being on the show. Tell us more about the film and your character, Eugene. No, I've been watching you since Felicity. I loved you on Heroes. We were so excited to have you, and I know my executive producer loves you as well. Welcome. We're big fans. Virtual hug. Welcome back, friends. We've been talking about the fact that Janet Yellen would be the first female Treasury Secretary if confirmed, but she's not the only one making history. In New Mexico, Teresa Ledger Fernandez is also blazing the trail for women and the Latinx community. The representative-elect will be the first woman and first Latina woman to represent her U.S. House district. Not only that, New Mexico will be represented by all women and all women of color for the very first time. This is a big deal. I'm joined now by Representative-elect. The Dow now surging by more than 150 points this morning. Certainly a different story yesterday. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ also pointing to a higher open. Investors are waiting on minutes from the Federal Reserve's September meeting. This after Fed Chairman Jerome Powell warned Tuesday that the future of the U.S. economy remains, quote, highly uncertain. That is the big question, JD. I'm so glad you brought up Bill Gates and what happened there 22 years ago. We mentioned Titans. I think people know this, but again, just to review the context here, these are 4 men who run companies worth nearly $5 trillion combined, not to mention 2 of the world's richest men who were at this hearing or doing it virtually. Now, lawmakers collected hundreds of hours of interviews. They obtained more than 1 million documents on these companies leading to the testimony to today. Now, some of those documents showed Facebook trying to neutralize a competitive threat with Instagram. That's the exchange we saw between Zuckerberg and Ladler that JD mentioned. Also, Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google, was questioned about his relationship with the Pentagon and the Chinese government. Republicans did paint the picture of an anti-conservative bias on these platforms. Let's talk about Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio. He is the top Republican on the Judiciary Committee. He spent his opening statements giving examples where he thought Republicans are being unfairly targeted, saying this, quote, "I'll just cut to the chase. Big tech's out to get conservatives." Democrats, however, largely went after the tech CEOs for their use of data and anti-behavior towards other competitors in the marketplace. I have to say, JD, as we're watching this, I feel a lot of these men, these CEOs, handled themselves well. Most of them, when they were really pushed, did fall back to their talking points or their company's talking points.